Hi, this is Kimberly. This is a synopsis and a critique of Chapter 16 of My Daddy is a Hero, How Chris Watts Went from Family Man to Family Killer by Lena Derhally. The title of this chapter is Mommy Doesn't Feel Good. Miss Lena starts the chapter with a warning. I'll read it in full. It states, before reading any farther, the reader should be warned that the content in this chapter is disturbing and depicts the murder of Shanann and her daughters. It may be wise for some readers to skip this chapter. It should also be stated that the events portrayed in this chapter are Chris's version of what happened. This chapter is based on his interview from prison with law enforcement, his letters with Cheryl and Cadel, and the evidence in the police discovery. Chris has changed his story and contradicted himself numerous times, but this is the only account we have to go on. Readers can decide for themselves what they believe. Regardless of what truly happened. What Chris has testified to, and in all versions of the story, is beyond evil. I agree, probably not everyone's going to want to listen to this critique and synopsis either. I got so much procrastinating done the last couple of days. I spent a lot of time thinking about how I was going to do this chapter of Mommy Doesn't Feel Good. This shit was hard. I wanted to skip it, but I can't. I said I would review this book, and I want to keep my promise. I've explained to y'all before, I don't quit my bad habits, and I ain't gonna quit this. Danielle and I say to one another in a situation like this, I can't quit you. We're making fun of a scene from Brokeback Mountain. I always misquote it, but my way is funnier, and I'm trying to lighten the mood. It's about to get quite serious up in here. And for those who don't know, Danielle is my oldest daughter. And to all of Chris Asshat Watts' versions of what the hell really happened that night, that day, I checked my receipt, and I didn't buy any of his damn bullshit. But I'll tell you, you know that feeling you get when you've been crying, and you take those quick involuntary breaths after you've finished crying? That's what I've been doing this whole time, thinking about this chapter and trying to prepare for it. Whenever I get like that, I put a brown paper bag over my mouth and I drink all the vodka inside. It seems to help. But seriously, this video is not for everyone. I strongly recommend caution. But before I begin, I have one more thing to say of great importance. What are the words I'm looking for? Oh yeah, eat shit and die, Chris Fucktard Watts. This chapter begins with the very early morning of August 13th, 2018. At around 1:50 a.m., Nikki Atkinson dropped off Shanann at her home on Saratoga Trail. She watched and waited for her friend to get inside the house safely. If only she had known. So the author seems to be going mostly with the version that Liar Pants told to Lee, Coder, and Baumhover on February 18th, 2019, along with the extended and more sinister version he allegedly told Copycat Cloning Cadel, Scribe Clusterfuck, AK Scribbles. But to be fair, what else do we know other than the shit the lying bastard has told us? She says that Fuckface was sleeping in the master bedroom that evening and that Shanann kicked off her shoes at the door and left her suitcase by them at the door. Wasn't her suitcase by the stairs? As though she was gonna go ahead up and take it up there and then said, nah, fuck it. Well, needless to say, I checked Discovery and found it in 2 seconds flat. Quote, Chris advised the small black suitcase next to the staircase was from the trip Shanann just got back from on the morning of August 13th, 2018. She had gone to Arizona for work. Chris advised the suitcase observed in their bedroom was from when they were in North Carolina. End quote. Discovery page 57. According to this book, Shanann undressed and put on a purple t-shirt, got into bed and began to caress Captain Chaos. Yeah, right. And she said to him, why don't you slip into something more comfortable too, like a coma? She didn't say that. That was me. and supposedly this led to sex for the first time since he had started playing sexual circus aerobics sponsored by Cricky's Exponata. I don't believe Chris and Shanann had sex. Shanann was beyond exhausted from her day, her weekend, hell, the whole summer, because of the cruel way Nimrod had been treating her. Plus, she liked to shower to get the airport off of her. I just don't think she felt like sex, even though she had been pleading with him ever since North Carolina. But according to the chapter, they did the deed, and now I will read what lies he told in Wisconsin. This is page 5 of the transcript. Quote, he felt her get into bed. He felt Shanann stirring around in bed, and he felt she knew he was having an affair. Shanann started rubbing her hand on his leg or chest, and they had sexual intercourse at approximately 2:30 a.m. He and Shanann had sex in the missionary position. He felt like sex with Shanann was more of a test. He felt strange when he had sex with Shanann and questioned who he had become. Yeah, we had all been questioning that too, asshole. And having sex with Shanann may have been a, quote, trigger point, where like you hit the push button on a bomb and it just blows up, end quote. Wow, asshat. He and Shanann fell asleep after they had sex, end quote. This is, of course, Tammy Lee's report from Wisconsin. The chapter reads, quote, Chris knew what he had to do to take care of the mess. He had found it easy to shower Nikki with attention when Shanann and the girls were away, but now he wouldn't be able to see her at all if he was still living under the same roof as his family, end quote. The mess? You mean the confusion, chaos, muddle, jumble, disarray, turmoil, shambles that is your life? A huge problem or situation, also known as a clusterfuck, which you created, asshole. He was the one that made a mess in his head. I mean, I know he had begun to see his wife and family as a thorn in his side, but that was because he couldn't continue to live in fantasy land once they got back. He's got 2 brain cells left. One's a liar and the other one's a fool. And that's all he has in there. And empty space. It's hollowness. With those 2 ineffective brain cells, they're dead. He's dead in his head. He became mad because his wife was not going to let him see his girlfriend anymore. That's not fair. He had become mad, irate, livid, and then berserk. And the madder he got, the more irrational and deranged he became. In his rabid state, he came up with the brain-dead idea of killing his family. He really does have bats in his belfry if he truly believed this asinine plan was going to free him to be with Nikolai. Miss Lena goes on to tell us the story of what Cadel put in her book. I only saw a couple of letters, and he's a damn liar pants and she's a damn liar pants. So shit, we really don't know what happened inside that house when Shanann got in and closed the door, locked herself in. The letter he wrote to Scribble seems to be authentic in that he wrote it, but the contents, they seem too outrageous to be true. Sounds like a bunch of bullshit, horse shit, bat shit, cat shit, dog shit. The author is going with the contents of the letter, so I will read portions from the letter that Copycat Conundrum sold to the Daily Mail. I don't want to blather on about his desire to be in the ministry or his pipe dream of being released one day and shit of that nature that was also contained in the letter. Sure, asshole, how about this month, say February 31st? Does that work for you? The letter reads in part, I am a big fat goddamn liar. Oh wait, sorry, those were my notes. The letter reads in part, August 12th, when I finished putting the girls to bed, I walked away and said, that's the last time I'm going to be tucking my babies in. I knew what was going to happen the day before, and I did nothing to stop it. I was numb to the entire world. I had literally taken my kids to a birthday party, played with water balloons, had an amazing time, sang songs all the way home, gave them both a shower, ate dinner, read bedtime stories, and sang bedtime songs, and still nothing registered. When Shanann had to be somewhere, I always enjoyed taking the girls places or playing outside because it was our opportunity to bond. And still, the night before, I couldn't force myself from what I knew would occur the next morning. August 13th, morning of, I went to the girls' room first before Shanann and I had our argument. I went to Bella's room, then Cece's room, and used a pillow from their bed to kill them. That's why the cause of death was smothering. After I left Cece's room, I climbed back into bed with Shanann, and our argument ensued. After Shanann had passed, Bella and Cece woke back up. I'm not sure how they woke back up, but they did. Bella's eyes were bruised, and both girls looked like they had been through trauma. That made the act that much worse, knowing I went to their rooms first, and knowing I took their lives at the location of the batteries. Bullshit. I do not believe this. Both woke back up, and at the same time? Don't give this lying piece of chicken shit credence. He's a pansy, and I mean no disrespect to the flower when I say that. I mean it as someone very pathetic and wimpy, one who lacks courage, one who is a girly man and sissy-like. And I've seen the Shadows videos like everyone else. But why has Shanann asked for more pictures of the girls on Sunday? And I've seen the Shadows videos like everyone else. But why, when Shanann asked for more pictures of the girls on Sunday, when she was dealing with not being able to get home because of bad weather, but why did he only send one picture of Bella from earlier in the day at the birthday party? Could it be that they were already dead? I think maybe so. Probably so. My thought. I know others think differently, but that's why I like to hear everyone's ideas. I do enjoy watching other channels and what their take on it is, because sometimes I change my mind on shit. But why was that canine alerting like crazy in the basement? Could the girls have been placed down there? I don't know, something happened. It also alerted by the garage door. Asshat said he laid Shanann on the ground there, going out to the garage, while he went and backed up the truck or some dumb shit like that. The letter continues. The reason the medical examiner found oxycodone in Shanann's system is because I gave it to her. I thought it would be easier to be with Nicole if Shanann wasn't pregnant. Okay, two things. I don't see where Shanann had oxycodone in her system in the autopsy. And didn't he take that back? Didn't he say, oh, I changed my mind, I only gave it to her once in North Carolina? Because what would be the point in giving it to her right before he strangled her? You know, other than to make her drowsy. But he says, and I quote, I thought it would be easier to be with Nicole if Shanann wasn't pregnant. Well, probably you shouldn't have talked her into it, you dick. And if I've gotten any of this stuff wrong, y'all just let me know. I won't get mad or anything. I'll just be like, oh, okay, and then I'll block you. I'm just kidding. Miss Lena says that after smothering the girls, quote, he was ready to talk to Shanann. The affair with Nikki, the anger and disappointment of the drama with his family and Shanann over the years, and his inability to deal with the emotional problems all boiled to the surface, end quote. He claims he wanted to tell her he was leaving her and that he no longer loved her. Why tell her he's leaving her if he's killing her? This shit that he comes up with does not make sense. He's never made any sense. Honestly, I don't know how Shanann put up with him all these years. And I don't believe he had the balls to tell her he no longer loved her. But perhaps he did, just to be cruel and mean. He had been doing a pretty bang-up job of torturing her emotionally for the last several weeks. The chapter gives Miss Lena's opinion, quote, Shanann had married Chris partially because he was a safe choice. He was always loyal, devoted, and submissive, end quote. That sounds very plausible, yes. I think I agree. Miss Lena continues, quote, Shanann started to cry and mascara streaked down her face as she told Chris she loved him. Chris told her he didn't love her and wasn't compatible with her, end quote. We don't know that Shanann said this. She may very well have, but we only have a numbskull liar's version of events. Then he claims he became mad again because Shanann told him if he left her, she would not let him see the kids. So he kills the kids. I mean, he just contradicts himself time after time. The book goes on to quote the plagiarist, quote, in his words to Cadle, she was used to getting her way, and when she saw she wasn't, she would revert, as always, to threats and anger to get what she wanted. This time, though, I was not giving in to her demands, said Chris. That's when my anger for her began. Years of her telling me what to do and what not to do, keeping me from my own family for months at a time, were over. Keeping me in the background was over, end quote. Well, bully for you. Yeah, you're a big, strong bully. You didn't have to go from one extreme to the other, dimwit. Miss Lena says Fuckface wasn't mad at the prospect of losing the kids, because according to one of the versions he told, he had already smothered them, but that he was angry about his own feelings of being out of control, and he was harboring a grudge about it. Were you also mad at Mommy, Chrissy? I think you were. She was the first woman to boss you around, and then you got all queasy inside when Mommy and Shanann would fight. Made you have a tummy ache, didn't it? And you and Papa Ronnie would do stuff like deleting everybody on Facebook and having an affair. Did Papa Ronnie ever have an affair? But yeah, CW felt like he never had any control, he says. But then he did over Shanann, while he was taking her last breaths from her. Quote, Chris spent his entire life being the helpful guy everyone loved and wanted to be around. Are we supposed to feel sorry for him? Because I'm not feeling it. There was no way he could face being the bad guy. He knew if word got out that he had cheated on his pregnant wife, everyone would look down on him, and that was not something Chris could handle. Shanann was suspicious about possible infidelity. In a version of Chris's story, she had even said, quote, I knew there was someone else, end quote. What a dumb fuck. He's a bad guy for cheating on his wife. Well, even more people found out about you not only cheating, but that you killed your pregnant wife and 2 very young daughters, one of which is a toddler, and a 15-week-old fetus named Nico. Shanann was feeling him move. Chris Asshat, fuckface, chicken shit, Kristen shit Watts is a dumbass half-wit, paralyzed from the neck up, and he has no grain in his silo. He blamed Shanann for all of his problems. Yeah, it's Shanann's fault that you spent the summer ignoring your family while you and Nikolai did embarrassing, stupid, pathetic, ridiculous, and weird, creaky sex bonata, shady activity type things, and that your life had fallen into disrepair. Chris and Chip felt like it was Shanann's fault that he had grown distant from his family. You know what I think? I think he liked not dealing with his family. I think it was a relief to have a break from them, especially when he moved to Colorado. I think he enjoyed the break when they would have words and go for months without speaking to them. But Shanann thought it was important to include them and have a relationship with Bella and Celeste. She was even trying to include them with Nico, even after the nasty blow-up over the summer. But, you know, she got crickets, silence, no response. Here, Miss Lena further explains Nimrod's misplaced anger. Quote, in his mind, it was Shanann's fault. He had cheated on her and put him in this mess. Yeah, that's kind of the way he thinks. Everything was her fault. Chris's narcissism and entitlement had reached their peak, end quote. She says he watched Shanann get drowsy, I suppose from the oxy he claims to have given her. Or perhaps she was just exhausted from her weekend and the whole summer, and you acting like a dick. but that after she got drowsy he choked her, and she describes it in shocking detail in the book, which I will not repeat it here. We all know what happened. Not exactly, but we all know he strangled his wife that loved his stupid ass so much. Miss Lena then talks about the spiritual connection Sandy told Dr. Phil about at around 4:30 that morning, and I'm wondering, was Mrs. Rusick's spiritual connection on East Coast time? If so, that would be 2:30 Mountain Time. They're 2 hours behind. I'm not being a smartass, I'm just asking. There's a 2-hour difference. The chapter says Mrs. Rusick got out of bed in a cold sweat and heard a whisper in her ear that said Shanann, or was it Shannon, as her parents call her. She says Shanann's mom asked aloud, quote, "Did something happen to my daughter?" End quote. She said she felt horror and dread come over her, and she woke up Frank Sr. She said she knew within her soul that her daughter was gone. Frank told her she was fine and patted her gently. How does Miss Lena know this, that he patted her gently? I don't remember the Dr. Phil show completely. I would play it for you guys, but I don't want to get a copyright strike. Supposedly she went to wake Frankie Jr. and told him the same as she had told her husband. He told her she was being paranoid, but Sandy could not shake the feeling. Back at the Watts house in Colorado, Miss Lena says C.W. took Shanann's rings off her finger, and that Fuckface McGee decided he would stage the home to make it look like she left him and took the girls. The chapter says, quote, "No one would ever believe Chris would hurt her, but maybe they would believe Shanann could get angry enough to leave him and never return. As far as the outside world could see, she was the fiery one with Italian temper, and Chris was the rational, logical one," end quote. And that sentence ended with a comma in the book rather than a period. Just saying, I'm still on the ball. But that took the focus off this last part. Let me read it again. Quote, "No one would ever believe Chris would hurt her, but maybe they would believe that Shanann could get angry enough to leave him and never return. As far as the outside world could see, she was the fiery one with the Italian temper, and Chris was the rational, logical one." End quote. Oh, please. Is this what she thinks Asshat thought, or the rest of the world would think? Either way, Fuckface is not that smart to think that, and no one else thought that shit, not even for a split second, except Cindy Watts. But Nicole Atkinson, Officer Coonrod, Neighbor Nate, Detective Baumhover, Shanann's mother, no one else believed she, quote, "ran off," except for Mr. and Mrs. Paparani Watts. I wish she had thought to run off on Thursday when she got that doll photo. She should have packed a bag and ran to the nearest women's shelter. And the ridiculous story continues. Belle and Cece just so happened to appear in the doorway as he was wrapping their mother in a sheet. And Belle asks, "What's wrong with Mommy?" And then, well, I just have to read this part. Quote, "Mommy doesn't feel good. We have to take her to the hospital," Chris responded. Chris said he noticed Bella's eyes were bruised, and both girls looked confused and traumatized after his initial attempts to smother them. Chris felt no empathy for them at all. In fact, he told Cadle he was overwhelmed with anger that they were still alive. Although this part of the story seems far-fetched to many, Chris explained that this was why the cause of death of the girls in the autopsy report was smothering. In my opinion, this is one of the most believable parts of this story. I believe this moment really shows who he always was. He was angry his children were still alive, end quote. And I just would like to make this clear. That was not me talking. I was quoting what Miss Lena had in the book. I don't believe that crap. Makes no sense to me. Perhaps I'm just trying to protect myself, because I hate the thought of them going on a 45-minute ride just full of terror with the man that's supposed to protect them when they're scared. Fuck him. I mean, it's believable to her that he so-called smothered them and then they both woke up, like, at the same time. Maybe it did happen. Anything is possible, but it just sounds like a bunch of bullshit to me. I think when he was in his jail cell, he was bored. When they had him on lockdown and suicide watch and all that shit, all he had was his damn imagination, and he ran wild with it. And then we have to relive this part again of his inept ass trying to get Shanann down the stairs and dropping her, and the girls watching him drop her and bump her down the stairs. Bella crying and Cece whimpering. I think Cece would have been more than whimpering. First of all, she was used to sleeping at this time in the morning, and she had supposedly just woken up from an attempted smothering, and she is witnessing her mother being dragged down the stairs wrapped in a sheet. Wouldn't she be hysterical? And Bella had gotten up twice after being put to bed, says Watts, wanting to know when Mommy would be home. They couldn't even talk on the phone or FaceTime with her when she was out of town because they would become inconsolable. They were very attached to Mommy. Every time she's sitting down there in her lap, there's picture after picture after picture of that. Even Dieter, the four of them sitting together. And then Asshat made sure he separated them all permanently. I just don't see this scenario happening as he tells it, but I have been wrong once or twice in my life, so hell, I don't know. But he don't know shit from Shinola. So we go through the whole thing of Chris back in his truck, going back in the house to grab his lunch. First things first, after all. Peanut butter and jelly sandwich, Oreo cookies, and a Sunny D, a gas can, rake, and a shovel. How the fuck could he eat after all of this? Miss Lena called it astonishing. She says that on his way out he threw the book in the trash can. The book that Shanann had bought for fuckface, called Hold Me Tight, as another effort to save their marriage. She had asked him to read it. Miss Lena says he threw it there as a way to insinuate Shanann was done and was leaving him. How does she know this is when he threw it away? Then he grabbed some garbage bags to cover her head and feet. This is hard for me. This is just so cold and callous. She says he then put the girls in the back with their feet dangling over their mother's body. Has anyone seen how small it is in the back of the truck? How is this possible? I don't have any pictures at the moment, but I'm going to look for some that shows the inside the cab and the back seat. The chapter says Cece had her favorite New York Yankees blanket, and Bella had the pink blanket she took everywhere. And of course there was a huge runaround by law enforcement looking for the girls' blankets and special stuffed animals. Asshat claimed to have left these things at the gravesite of Shanann. Agent Tammy Lee's report on Discovery, page 606, says, quote, I asked Chris if he was sure the girls' blankets and animals weren't going to be in the tanks, and he said no. Chris said the blankets and animals were left near the sheet by the grave. Multiple searches over multiple days for the stuffed animals and blankets that he threw away in a construction dumpster in the neighborhood that was being built behind his house. He admitted that in Wisconsin. But supposedly Asshat put the girls in the back seat and they held on to each other, and they were without car seats. I hope to God this shit's not true. I can't bear the terror and confusion they must have felt. CW has lied so much, I don't think he actually remembers what the fuck happened. So, Fuckface began his 45-minute drive to Survey 319 with his dead pregnant wife and two terrified little girls in the back seat of his work truck. Couldn't he have dropped those girls off at the nearest fire station, hospital, police station, Walmart, anywhere? Or is he that fucking stupid to think his plan was gonna work? If the girls truly were alive, didn't he have time to think on the way there? It was a goddamn 45-minute drive. Was it his plan all along to kill them too? Fuck that idiotic cock and bull story about killing them twice. I don't believe it. How much better life would be if Liar's pants really did catch on fire. Just go up in fucking flames the second they open their mouth. But the chapter says that Bella complained of the smell, and Miss Lena says, and I can't effing believe what she said. Here, I'll read it to you. Quote, Daddy, it smells, Bella complained. Chris caught a whiff of a skunk-like smell that was coming from Shanann's dead body, end quote. Really? Skunk-like? How rude. That's just uncouth. Shanann was classy. I know Asshat said she relieved herself of urine in her bowels, so maybe the smell of feces? Let me read this little gem again that Miss Lena wrote. Daddy, it smells, Bella complained. Chris caught a whiff of a skunk-like smell that was coming from Shanann's dead body. That's really crass. Beyond rude. I'm at a loss for words. Can you believe it? According to the Wisconsin interview, Tammy Lee said on page 22, quote, "When you strangle someone, sometimes they evacuate their bowels, and that occurred with Shanann and was the reason he threw away the sheet," end quote. So, she evacuated her bowels. Let's be mature about this. Saying that it was a skunk-like smell, that's something an 8-year-old would say out on the playground. Fuck out of here with that. I'll read the Wisconsin interview part that talks about the ride to Survey 319 and the ugly aftermath. It's pretty much the same that's in Miss Lena's book, so I'm just going to read this. Okay, so this is on the way to Survey 319. At that point, he put his lunchbox in the truck and then put both Bella and Celeste in the back of the truck on the bench seat. Shanann was laying on the floorboard. Bella asked, "Is Mommy okay?" He told Bella and Celeste that Mommy would be fine. Bella and Celeste each had a blanket with them, and Celeste had a stuffed animal barking dog. He put a gas can in the back of the truck and felt like he could get rid of himself at the same time. God, I wish he would have. He should have. He didn't feel like he deserved to live or to be on this earth after what happened. That's the first intelligent thing I have ever heard him say. Excuse me, let me continue reading. After everything happened, he considered taking his own life as well. He did not commit suicide because he felt like if he did it out at the oil site, he may have ended up hurting more people than just himself. He knew there were other people in the area and didn't want something to catch fire or blow up. He does not own any weapons, but nothing seemed right that morning. All I can say is Chris and shit ended up on the back of the fucktard wagon, fell out into the dumbass ditch. I don't even know what else to say. Continuing with the Wisconsin transcript. As he drove to the oil site with Shanann, Bella, and Celeste, he was nervous, shaking, and didn't know what was going to happen. He knew at that moment that his life was completely changed. He tried to picture the long ride out to the oil site and wondered if he could have saved the girl's life. Yes, he could have. You know what? Karma takes too long. I want to beat the shit out of him right now. He wasn't thinking during the entire drive. He has read books about how dads can never hurt their children, and he has wondered, was I even a dad at one point? I don't know. He had wanted his whole life to be a dad, and nothing made sense, including the oil tank. It's pretty obvious to me that this dude is dumb as shit and useless as fuck. During the ride, the girls were dozing on and off, held each other, and laid in each other's laps. During the ride, Bella said, "Daddy, it smells." When he got to the oil site, he took Shanann out of the back of the truck and pulled her over and laid her on the ground near where she was ultimately buried. This part makes no sense because the back seat lifts up. It's a bench seat. It lifts up. In order to get Shanann in the back on the floor, the seat would have had to been up. Where were the girls going to sit? Anyway, let me read this. Bella and Celeste were still sitting in the back of the truck as he removed Shanann. Bella and Celeste asked him, "What are you doing to Mommy?" He doesn't recall what he told them. He returned to the truck and, quote, "Cece was first," end quote. I just want to kick this asshole in the face repeatedly, wearing a stiletto heel and a combat boot on the other foot. Take turns alternating. Celeste had a blue Yankees blanket and he put it over her head. He strangled Celeste in the back seat. He put his hand over Celeste's mouth and nose over the blanket and his other hand around the front of Celeste's neck. Bella was seated right beside Celeste as he strangled her, but Bella didn't say anything. He had no idea how long it took to strangle/smother Celeste because he had no concept of time. With regard to what he was thinking at the time, Fuckface said, "I wasn't." Naturally. jerk off. If I was thinking this wouldn't have happened, or any partial hint of what I feel for those girls and what I feel for my wife, then none of this would have happened. So I wasn't thinking, end quote. After Celeste died, he took Celeste out of the truck, walked her up to the oil tank, opened the hatch, and dropped her inside, feet first. He believed it was tight when he put Celeste through the hatch in the oil tank. He did not have to hit Celeste into the tank, but may have had to manipulate her to get her inside. He closed the hatch on the oil tank and returned to the truck. When he got in the truck, Bella asked him what happened to Cece. Bella asked him in her soft voice, "Is the same thing gonna happen to me as Cece?" He's not sure if he told Bella yes, like a horrible person. He then put the same Yankees blanket over Bella's head and did the same thing. Bella said, "Daddy, no," and it was the last words she spoke. He put his hand over Bella's nose and mouth, over the blanket, and his hand around the front of her neck. With regard to Bella's injuries in her mouth, Bella's head was twisting back and forth under the blanket, while he smothered/strangled her. He could hear Bella grunt as she tried to breathe. Miss Lena says, quote, in his letter to Cadle, the details in the most detached way, saying, quote, "I couldn't believe how easy it was just to let her drop through the hole and let her go. I heard the splash as she hit the oil," end quote. He is one sick motherfucker. The chapter continues, quote, "He felt no remorse, only relief that he was finally free of them. Soon his co-workers would show up, and it would be another normal day at work, except now he could go home to his girlfriend instead of his family." Really? Fuck that shit. What Never Never Land was he living in? Later in the day, he would text Nikki and tell her, "My family is gone." Consequently, Chris Watts found himself in a state of fucked upness. The quandary of being surrounded by totally fucked up shit that you created and being only moments from having to deal with law enforcement because of your dumbass, insane, bizarre actions. And that ends this ridiculously painful chapter. Fuckface just needs to be put to sleep. God, I hate this and I hate him. I hated this fucking chapter. He's a jack-off, fuckface, fawn, clown, stick, pompous, prick, biscuit, butterface, douche, pilot, tone-deaf, fuck, clown, dickweed, stupid, fuck, dragon, lazy turd, pirate, pie-eating, dick-goblin, slutty, shit, hammer, fuck, trumpet, piss-lap, shitbag, cock-nose, prick, bastard, jackass, fuck off, fuck nut, fuck nuts, punk-ass, brainless, blinker, cockalorum, snollygoster, ninny hammer, pillock, bitch face, jerkwad, shitface, ball, sharp as a ball peen ham, lick spittle, mofo, dumb as a stump, ass muncher, slow-witted, knitting with only one needle, dumber than fungus. Some people should be dipped in Vagisil, then they wouldn't be such irritating twats. Dumber than dog shit. I hate you so much I would unplug your life support to charge my phone. The last time I saw something like you, I flushed it. I bet your brain feels good as new, seeing that you never use it. You're useless as a glass hammer, useless as a screen door on a submarine. And that will be the end of this video, unless you would like to stay tuned for some body cam footage that I've picked out. I've tried to select some that's not, or perhaps not, been seen so often. I'll pick up with chapter 17 in the next video. Thank you for listening.
Reason to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which stands one nation under God and indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Good job.
So do you know Chris went to any other wells before he went to this 319?
No, sir, I don't. But if you guys need to verify that, you can check his card site.
It is.
It's called a card site, or actually, it's called a geotab nowadays.
Oh, okay.
Every
Yeah,
narco has a geotab.
Yeah,
inside of all of our vehicles.
Okay.
So it tracks everywhere we go, how fast we're going, whether or not we're wearing a seatbelt, if we take a call over Bluetooth, everything.
Okay.
So.
So is Ruggan about an hour from Frederick also, do you think?
Well, it's you go right down 52, and as soon as you get to Hudson, so from Frederick to Hudson. I don't know how long that would take, sir. So you got to go through Fort Lupton. So I imagine that'd probably be about an hour, maybe, to get to Hudson. And then, I don't know, from Hudson to Roggin. Hudson to Roggin on the interstate, going 75 miles an hour. You can usually make it to that Roggin exit probably 25 minutes, 30 minutes.
Okay.
I'm guessing. And then it's a little bit of a trek back into Survey because...
Where is Survey from? So is it north or south of the interstate?
It would be, all right, from the interstate, because you go underneath the overpass, so I guess it would be on the north-hand side. Yes. Yeah, because there's a little two-track there, or not two-track, there's a little cattle guard, and you pass it, and then you go underneath this really narrow deal underneath the interstate.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
That's him. Okay, let me just come on. This Officer Goodman, is this Christopher? Yep. Hung up on me again. Hello, Christopher? Christopher. Yeah. This Officer Good. Yeah. Just going to keep it recording so in case he calls back and I get him. Hello, Christopher. This is Officer Goodman, Frederick Police Department. Are you there? Hello? Is that, and that's the number you called and it went right through last time you had contact with him? 910-309-1702. That's what's coming in. They don't have a house phone? That's a different number now. This is Officer Goodman, Frederick Police Department.
Hey, this is Chris Watts. I was trying to call you back from my personal phone. It kept saying call failed, but I just used my work phone.
Oh, this is your work phone? Okay. So, we're just trying to get some of your wife and kids' information entered in to put some alerts out there. And I just need to get some information about the kids. Do you know how, on Bella, do you know her height, weight, hair color, and eyes?
So, height would be 42 inches.
Okay.
Weight would be 40 pounds.
Okay.
Hair color would be brown.
All right.
Eye color would be brown as well.
Okay. Does she have any scars, marks, tattoos?
No.
Okay. And then on Celeste, same thing.
So she is 37 inches tall.
Okay.
She is 37 pounds.
Okay.
Blonde hair.
Eyes.
Hazel eyes.
Hazel. Okay, and again, no scars, marks, tattoos?
No.
Okay. Okay, we're just going to get that information out. And we're just going to keep... does Shannon have any scars, marks, or tattoos?
She has the scar on her forehead only pops out every once in a while from that car wreck she had a long, long time ago, but no tattoos.
Okay. Is it really a visible scar or no?
No, it's just like only when only if she's like really heated.
Okay.
She's like outside running around a lot.
Okay. So it's like when there's a lot of sun?
Yeah.
Okay. And where is that on her forehead? Left, middle?
Yeah, it's like right in the middle of the forehead. It's like right, kind of like it runs like right in the middle, like just above the bridge of the nose, and it runs down, just like where the glass stuff went into her forehead from that car accident.
Now, when you say goes down towards her mouth?
It goes up and down, so side to side.
Okay.
Like you have to really look for it, but like it's there. Like if she's like outside running around, it just kind of comes through.
Okay. So since the other officers have talked to you, has anything else come to mind that you can think of to help us try to figure out what's going on, where she is?
Nothing's come across. Just a bunch of text messages from a lot of friends just reaching out to me, just seeing like if they could help or whatnot, but nothing new.
Okay. Can't think of any other names or anything that come to mind that we could call?
No new names right now. Everybody else, it's just been like consistently from the same people just reaching out to me.
Okay.
A lot of phone calls from North Carolina, but people I haven't heard from in a long time.
Okay. Okay, yeah, well, if you hear something, obviously let us know as soon as you can, and if you can think of anything, if anything, you think of that might help us locate her, just let us know, okay?
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
All right, you have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Frederick Police Department, anybody in the house? Frederick Police Department, anybody in the house, make yourself known. Frederick Police Department, anybody in the house?
I'll hold. disconnect. Copy.
Still got that bathroom?
Yep.
I'm gonna pass by it.
Passing by it.
Copy.
Open your connecting door.
No. Okay. Holding.
Frederick Police Department, anybody in the garage? Frederick Police Department, make yourself known.
Coming out, folks.
Copy. Should open. Okay. Copy.
Coming back towards you.
Copy. Okay, I'll pull the door once you guys are ready.
Frederick Police Department, anybody in the basement? Frederick Police Department, make yourself known.
Stay with the cat, Lorraine.
Frederick Police Department, anybody down here?
Okay. Clear? Okay. You're good.
Frederick Police Department, anybody down here?
Right's clear.
Stay to my left. I got you right.
Okay. Hold this area. I'm gonna check in between the furnace and the water heater.
Okay.
Is there another access under those stairs? Yeah. Check under. see the majority. I don't think anyone can fit back there. It's filled with paint cans and storage bins. Covering. I'm on you. Check, you got behind all that crap. Hold me. Copy. Hold you. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna check this fridge again. Yep.
Check behind all that.
Okay. Blue coming up. Coming out.
Coming
On
out.
you.
Okay. Check this closet.
Yep. We checked all the kitchen cabinets and stuff. Clear. Yeah. Copy.
You and I
Take
to
this.
master.
Okay. I'll break left.
Okay.
Hold. There.
We got 2 open doors.
Okay.
Check the bathroom.
Clear.
Matt.
Copy. Is that like that?
Hmm?
Cabinets.
Not the last one out here, but they're going to put it out of me. Clear, 2 coming out. I cooked you on.
Okay.
You good? Run.
On you.
Good. Going out. Which one do you want? You go left on the straight. Okay. Cook
Okay,
that
I'm on.
fine.
No, not on that side. Clear.
Clear, coming out.
Long as you're with me, we'll take the door on the right.
Okay.
Lorraine, cook you before the one on the left.
Okay.
Frederick Police Department, anybody in there? Frederick Police Department, make yourself known!
Copy. 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 Copy.
Laundry room and the access panel up there?
There's no more debris down,
Oh, okay.
and you can see where it's been held up. Whoever went in there last shut it, and there's still some there. Okay. Go ahead and make this place like it was when it came in.
I had it, yeah, I had it switched there.
A lot of it, I think these were all automatic. So these were all automatic, so we're good there.
Okay.
I'll go through the backyard at all. Okay. these have storage.